The devil we tolerate. Listen, everyone already knows the machine is broken. We talk about it constantly over coffee, vent about it during lunch breaks, and nod along when someone points out the latest blatant ripoff. It's not some hidden conspiracy only 5 smart people understand. It's right out in the open, staring everybody in the face every single day. Yet when the alarm goes off at 6:30 tomorrow morning, everyone gets dressed, gets in their car, and logs right back into the exact same machinery. People wonder why nobody flips the whole table over. The truth is pretty simple, and it has nothing to do with people being blind or stupid. Familiar dysfunction is weirdly safe. That sounds insane until you actually look at how our brains calculate risk. A broken road with giant potholes is annoying, but if you drive down it every single day, you know exactly where to swerve. You know the exact bump that pops your suspension if you aren't paying attention. You get through it alive. But blowing up the road entirely means you can't get home tonight. A crooked, clumsy setup still delivers groceries to the store on the corner, keeps the power grid humming just enough, and pays out a direct deposit on Friday. It takes a huge slice of your dignity to do it, sure, but you survive the week. Fighting costs everything up front, and there's no refund policy if it goes wrong. You don't just get to push a button, tear down an unfair bureaucracy, and stroll into paradise by Sunday night. You risk your job, you risk your rent money, you risk your safety, your clean record, and your kid's dinner table. The second someone tries to yank a gear out of the machine, the whole weight of that machine leans straight down on their neck. Most people aren't cowards for walking past that fight. They're just doing basic arithmetic on their own survival. The unknown is terrifying, way more terrifying than a corrupt politician or a garbage corporate boss. With the crooked boss, you already have a playbook. You know what lies to expect, you know what paperwork to fake, and you know how to carve out a little patch of peace in your living room so they don't crush you completely. But wipe the slate totally clean? Now you're standing in the dark with millions of other nervous, desperate people with zero rules. Chaos isn't poetic. It's messy, unpredictable, and exhausting. There's also a collective action trap that paralyzes everyone. Nobody wants to be the first idiot over the wall. If 10 million people decided together at 9 a.m. on a Monday to simply stop complying, maybe the whole structure bends. But if you walk outside alone with a sign right now, you aren't a leader. You're just the crazy guy getting hauled into a squad car while everyone else records it on their phones for a laugh. Everyone is waiting for a crowd, and the crowd is waiting for an excuse. So everybody just stays seated. And it's never about the person at the top anyway. People waste so much air obsessing over the current face on the news or the executive in the corner office. Fire that guy, boot that official out, vote in the next smiling suit. It feels like a massive victory for about 48 hours until you realize the gears underneath are clicking along the exact same track. The problem was never the specific person sitting on the throne. The problem is the throne itself. The machine isn't even a group or an institution. It's the unspoken rules everyone agreed to play by 20 years before they were even born. It's the invisible agreements about what money is, who owns what, who has permission to tell you what to do, and what happens if you ignore an email. You can burn down a building, but that doesn't erase the paperwork, the habits, or the muscle memory in everybody's heads. The machine lives inside the way we coordinate our lives, not in some concrete bunker. We rely on the architecture of authority, even when we hate the person using it. We want a referee. The second a structure falls apart, people don't suddenly form a peaceful utopia where everyone shares everything nicely. The very first thing people do in a vacuum is look around in a panic for a strongman to set up rules so the water trucks start moving again. We hate the ruler, but we depend entirely on the concept of the throne to keep each other from turning chaotic. Our daily existence is painfully fragile. Food logistics, tap water, medicine, broadband, it all runs on millions of invisible, corrupt compromises that hold together just enough to keep civilization from collapsing in 48 hours. If you smash the system with a sledgehammer, the lights go out. People don't put up with broken institutions because they love bad actors. They put up with them because they don't want their family starving, while theoretical idealists spend 10 years debating how to build a fair world from scratch. History is a massive graveyard of people who smashed a terrible system only to get something 5 times more violent 6 months later. You kick out an incompetent dictator, and you get a paranoid warlord. You shatter a stale bureaucracy, and you get armed groups running the intersections. The track record of total collapse is ugly. Most historical resets simply changed the color of the boot on people's necks and made them pay extra for the privilege of bleeding for it. People have a gut sense of that history, even if they never read the books. So you make daily micro-compromises. You swallow the unfair fine. You pay the ridiculous fee. You smile at the petty bureaucrat who holds your permit hostage. You ignore the blatant grift because your kid has a dentist appointment at 3 and your car insurance is due next week. It isn't apathy. It's just survival triage. You have a finite amount of energy every day, and keeping your own fragile life from falling apart eats up about 99% of it. The entire setup survives on that simple exhaustion. It doesn't need your love. It doesn't need your respect or your genuine loyalty. It just needs you to be too worn out to organize. As long as the cost of tolerating the mess is slightly less dangerous than the catastrophic gamble of burning it down, the status quo wins by default every single morning. Plain inertia. A completely blank slate sounds romantic until you actually have to survive on it. Total freedom without structure means total vulnerability. It means no safety net, no recourse when someone stronger decides your property belongs to them, and no predictability. People tolerate unfair rules because at least unfair rules can be memorized, predicted, and survived around. You can adapt to a bad rule. You can't adapt to an empty void. The throne stays standing because stepping away from it means stepping directly off a cliff into the pitch black. We stay put, pay our taxes, grumble into our screens, and keep the gears turning. Not because we believe in the throne, but because the unknown on the other side is too heavy to carry. Knowledge is king.